Well, hello my math friends. This is a very short tutorial on working with scientific notation coming to you from your chapter 8. You guys have a test coming up on this week, so pay close attention, practice these problems, and let me know if you need any help at all. So I'm just going to do one of these samples. Here's the first two. First one is start with a decimal or a regular number, if you will, and turn it into scientific notation. The other way is going the other way around. So first of all, what does it mean to be scientific notation? Well, it means you have a power to the 10th, or 10 to the some type of power, and you always have just one decimal. So it's always going to be like 1.9, 1.03, 2.6. It's just one digit, and then you go right to decimal, and then you're going to have to multiply it by either a positive exponent or a negative to move the decimal either to the right if it's positive, or move your decimal to the left if it's negative. So let's do a couple of these real quick for samples. So starting with that first one, I'll take question number 6. Let me move this out of the way. Alright, so for question number 6, I simply have this decimal 0.13592. And to express that as a scientific notation, you're going to need to move that decimal to this spot. So it's just going to move over one spot to the right. So it's going to be 1.3592 times 10. Now since I moved it 1 to the right, I moved it just to get it in this format. The decimal really belongs over here. So to get it back to there, I'd have to go -1. So that's what the answer is going to be. If I started with this, when I look at this number, I know that the real number is actually a little smaller than this because I'm going to move the decimal to the left. Okay? So another example, I'll take a number that's big, 1001. So to express that in scientific notation would be 1.001. That's the scientific part. So how many, the original decimal was here, I moved it 1, 2, 3 spaces. So 10 to the third is how I got to it. And if you started here, you went the other way, you would move it. So that brings us to the other questions. Let's look at question 6. 1.03 times 10 to the -2. So if you start with scientific notation, the decimal's right after the first digit, and then you want to convert that into a real number, into a decimal. So what do? Since it's -2, the decimal is going to move to the left 2 places. That's the first place. Now since I have a second place, there's no number there, so I had to add a 0. So it's 0.0103. So in other words, 1.03 times 10 to the -2 is actually a pretty small number, 0.0103. Okay? Hopefully that gives you the hang of it. Now the last style is a little more challenging. The last style is they're going to ask you to multiply or even divide, maybe even add with scientific notation. So let's look at that problem. This one right here. 4.1357 times 10 to the -15th times, zoom out a little bit, times 5.4 times 10 to the second. So what you do is you just treat this as 2 different problems. You do the multiplication or division of the numbers first. So I'm just going to use my calculator for that. Get on my old. So I'm going to do 4.1357 times 5.4. So that's going to give me this answer. Now here's the trick. The answer is a big old decimal, 22.3 blah blah blah. But since you have to look at both the numbers you're working with, and however many digits or significant figures there are, see there's only 2 in this number, the final answer can only have 2. It can't have all those decimals, so I can't have it all. So I have to stop it at 22. I can't do the 0.3 because there's 2 digits there, there's 2 digits there. So that's the 22, and then do the 10 to the 15th and 10 to the 2nd. So when you multiply, you add the powers. So -15 plus 2 is going to be 10 to the -13th, because -15 plus 2 is -13. And now that's the answer, that's the correct answer, 22 times 10 to the -13th. But to bring it to scientific notation, I'd have to do 2.2 and then times. Now since the original answer should have the decimal over one spot to the right, I had to move it over one to the left. So it's actually, the real answer is negative 12, right? Let me think about that for a minute. So if this answer is 22, I would go back 13 places to get to the real answer. Since I bring it back one to start with, just to get it in the right format, then I'm only going to have to go back 12 more because I already went back one. So I'm going to do 12 more. So yeah, that's how you do it. So hopefully that helped just to see me and do that problem and kind of talk you through it. So try the practice problems and let me know if you need any help.